What up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Matt White. So I recently went out to go see this new film called Civil War, which is directed by Alex Garland, which you may have known his work from the sci-fi suspense film called Ex Machina, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. Not in my top 10 or top 20, but it's definitely his best work that he directed and was such an underrated movie. I didn't love the Annihilation that he directed a while back. It was kind of one of the most forgettable sci-fi films for me personally. Then he had written two films called 28 Days Later and Dread, that Judge Dredd comic book adaptation with Carl Urban that came out in, I believe, like 2010 or 2011. I can't remember precisely, which that was another underrated comic book film that he had written, and I thought it was great. So going into Civil War, it revolves around a war photographer, Kirsten Dunst, who is letting her colleagues from New York to Washington, D.C., and she wants to get her big story by interviewing with the president before the Western forces descend upon the White House. And that's where the movie is set. Now, it's really set in the dystopian alternate reality where what if our country is at war with ourselves and we're fighting amongst ourselves? But it never goes into telling you how or why how this all started with this whole second Civil War. It doesn't like dive in deep into it at all. It just shows you where we are now, and it's focusing on the point of view with the photojournalist. And Kirsten Dunst, who is playing a veteran of war photographers who has been in a war-torn country, who has seen a lot of horrific things and that she can ever imagine. But her job is to document it and get the story out there and inform people what's going on in the world, and that's the job. And she's suffering through PTSD. You've seen in the context of the film, without giving away too much, you start to see the point of view of the flashes of seeing horrific things in a war zone, especially in the aftermath. And it was so hard to watch at times. After coming out of the theater, I will say that I was very impressed by this movie. Now, I won't put this in my top 10 or top 5 favorite movies of the year. I'm not ready to say that, but it's definitely another win for Alex Garland and even the people made it from A24. Now you meeting up with Cailee Spaeny, who is a inspired war journalist who wants to follow in the Kirsten Dunst's footsteps of becoming a war photographer, but she will start to see a lot of horrific things, and she's about to learn the hard way about what it means to be a war photographer. But Kirsten Dunst's character does not want her to fall in her footsteps, and she doesn't want to be held responsible if she has an emotional breakdown when she sees a lot of body counts and even corpses. It's not the easiest job to do. And there's this one scene, without giving away too much, but they showed a clip on YouTube. But this is a scene that really stood out to me, is that when she tells her that if you want to be a journalist, you can't be asking questions. You take the photo, you get the story out there, and the people will ask the questions. And I thought that was so good, and I thought that she was incredible. Like Kirsten Dunst and Cailee Spaeny, their performance were the standouts of the film. I thought those two were incredible. I was so well invested in the characters, and you're following from their point of view and seeing the horrible things that's going on in this alternate reality, and that could be in our time today. And I thought that was so damn good. Now, look, some people may question, like, what side are you going to be rooting for? And this movie does not address what side you should root for at all. It never tries to force you to what side you're on, whether you're on the left or the right, and never tries to touch upon it whatsoever. You're just showing the point of view of the horrible things that's going on in our country if we were to fall apart and kill amongst ourselves. And there's a couple of scenes that they come across with a bunch of malicious group that are fighting their own war of their own. And there's a scene which the actor Jesse Plemons, who's playing one of the militia group, that was in the trailer, and he's not in the film as much, but his character is more of a cameo role. His character is so fucking terrifying that really made your skin crawl. Even a scene when you saw him asking, "What kind of an American are you?" And holy shit, in context of it, it was very tough to watch, and it put you on the edge of your seat. And these are the militia group that have no problem of killing minorities without thinking twice about it. They will do it without hesitation, and I thought it was so intense to watch that scene. And fun fact, most of you, for those of you who don't know, that Jesse Plemons is the husband of Kirsten Dunst. They're both married. They've been married for years, and I thought that Jesse Plemons' performance was absolutely brilliant. Even though that his role is a cameo, but I thought he was great because I remember that his name was put on the map from ever since the final season of Breaking Bad, which I knew him before Breaking Bad from his acting work here and there, but that's what really put him on the map, and he's starting to becoming one of the household names in Hollywood. And I thought that the performance with Wagner, Moura, who's playing Joel, who's playing one of her colleagues in the movie, I thought he was great as well. The banter with the photo with the colleagues together was so good. It's basically like a road trip movie in a dystopian future. And also Stephen McKinley, who is one of the colleagues, I thought he was one of the scene stealers, and I thought he was great. And you may have remembered him from Doom Part One, and I thought he was also incredible in the film. So, oh yeah, overall, I will say that this movie is damn good. It's one of the best films I've seen all year, and it's another win for A24. This wouldn't surprise me if this gets a lot of Oscar recognition. And yeah, I have, and also yeah, Kirsten Dunst's performance. I was so surprised how great she was and how she brought a lot of layers and gravitas. And even though she's playing a very jaded character, but you really understand where she's coming from. And I thought she did a great job. And even because, and also we haven't seen her act in a while because she only pops up here and there. But I thought that this is a big win for her from an acting standpoint. And Cailee Spaeny, which you may have known her from her last a couple of movies that you may have remembered her for, which is the movie called Priscilla, and she was also in Pacific Rim Uprising, which I thought the movie was terrible, so I'm not going to get into that. But she's also going to be in this upcoming new sci-fi film called Alien Romulus that's coming out later this year, and I can't wait to see what she's going to bring in her performance in that film. This is the movie that I recommend you should go see at least once in the theater, but also keep in mind that this movie is going to have a lot of disturbing moments and a lot of heavy hits at times, and it could be very tough to watch. And it's not one of those movies that it's going to have like a great time at the theater, and it's not going to throw the messages down your throat. It's not going to try to force you to choose what side you're on. And also, a lot of people would say that it's a little bit of far-fetched that the Texas and California are joining forces together to fight democracy, which I mean, I don't know if it would be true or not, because right now they haven't explained why that this happened in the first place. But at the end of the day, I think that this movie is worth the watch. But I will say that the third act finale, once they get into the war zone of DC, the battle zone was definitely well delivered. The sound designs were very impressive, especially in the gunfight. Oh my God, it just was insane. It felt so realistic. It felt like they pulled you right into the battle zone and make you really feel it. And Alex Garland did a great job of choreographing the firefights, and it's well directed. And the camera work, the way he did it was so well done. Especially when you're seeing with Cailee Spaeny's character and Kirsten Dunst when they're taking photos in a war zone. And capturing that moment, I thought they did it a brilliant job with the way they did that editing technique. And I will say that my one of my biggest negative was the ending. To me, how the way they wrapped it was so anticlimactic. I wanted a little bit more context of the aftermath, and it really did not give you that whatsoever. And a couple of the music choices that they put in the movie was kind of almost took me out of it a bit, but it wasn't really enough to derail the film. Would I wanted a little bit more context of how and why that this whole started in the first place? Sure, I wanted more. But I still think it was a movie that is still worth viewing because if you really love these characters, you can just give that a pass. And this movie could look like it could have been done as a Black Mirror episode, as a television series, if they were to do like a little bit of a mini series. But that's not a negative. I think that that would have been an interesting thing to do. But you know what? I am still glad that they did it as a feature film. And yeah, like I said before, this is not going to be one of those movies that's going to have like a great time to theater. It's not going to make you have a giant smile on your face, but it will have you. It will make you think and make you see how nasty that humanity can be if we were to go in that direction. It's crazy because it's not far off from what it can actually happen in real life. This is not me trying to tell you that it will happen. I'm just saying that it is a possibility that we could go in that direction. And that's because it is a cautionary tale. It's just showing you that what if we were in the middle of a second civil war, and where will we be in this circumstances? It's just crazy. So, what did you think of Civil War? Did you really enjoy this movie, or did you not like it and it wasn't for you? And I'm not going to expect this movie to be made for everybody, but I say this: go with an open mind and judge the movie on its own merits. And leave me your thoughts in the comment section below, and make sure you leave this a like on my video and subscribe to my channel for more content. I really appreciate your guys' support. I'm hoping to do more later on. I know I've been a little bit behind lately from my other reviews that I still haven't finished editing, but I will get there and keep an eye open. I hope you guys have a great day, great evening, wherever you're from, and I hope you guys stay safe and take care.